So the next panel is called The Full Package, Scaling with Integrity. It has some heavy hitters on this panel. In this panel, they'll be exploring strategies for scaling your business while maintaining core values. And the moderator for that is my homie Taylor Bauldwin from Rooted Ventures. Give Taylor a round of applause as he comes on up. Oh, you want to go ahead? Okay. Oh, hey, I thought you were going to wait. Come on up. No, you sit right. Yeah.
Thank you. Man, this is beautiful here, man. That last panel was fantastic, and this is just such a beautiful thing to be a part of. The first one. Cheers to many more. And we got a great lineup up here. So thank you to the first ever C3 conference for having us out here and up here. With that said, I'm gonna go ahead and just turn it over to these founders for them to run through can you just give everyone a quick introduction of you and your brand, and before we kick things off? I'll start with you.
Sure, my name is Coco, and I'm the founder and co-owner of The Little Fat Girl Presents. We specialize in the best brownie you ever had in your life that we ship directly to your doorstep, and we have a booth. Come see us.
Hi, Margaret Nyamumbo. I'm the founder of a coffee brand called Kahawa 1893. We're the first Black and woman-owned coffee brand to be nationally distributed in America, and we source from women farmers in Africa, including my family's farm.
How you doing? I'm Jairus. I'm the founder of SUPLMNT, the first Black-owned insulated water bottle brand, geared toward the culture, all about educating urban communities on the importance of drinking water, staying hydrated. Y'all look a little thirsty out there, so make sure y'all stop by my booth, check me out.
My name is Jackie Summers. I'm America's first legal licensed Black distiller, and I produce the country's most awarded liqueur of all time, Sorel liqueur.
Thank you. And my name is Taylor Bauldwin, founder of Rooted Ventures. So I invest, support, and highlight Black and minority-owned food and food tech founders. So it is an absolute pleasure to be here with some incredible people. Stop by their booths, talk to us, pull us aside. We'll be here all day. So with that said, I'm going to kick it off with you, Maggie. So I'm sure it's something you kind of hear about a lot. If you didn't know, her brand was on Shark Tank. So I'm just kind of open the floor up to you. Could you kind of tell us a little bit about that experience and your preparation and the impact of it?
Yeah, so we appeared on Shark Tank last year, where we were fortunate enough to get an investment that's been working out quite well. And then we ended up having a follow-up episode that aired earlier this year as well. And for that follow-up episode, we discussed our new partnership with Keurig. So our coffee is now available in K-Cups, and talking about that partnership in that episode. So going on Shark Tank was an amazing experience. It's not something that I initially wanted to do, because I don't usually pitch in public. So I was kind of like scared of doing it. But a friend of mine had been on it the year before, and they thought that our brand would be a great fit for Shark Tank. And the biggest benefit, a lot of people think that Shark Tank is you go there to get the money, but the biggest benefit that you get out of it is really the brand awareness. So being able to air the brand and introduce the brand to millions of people on such a platform is really a gift that keeps on giving. So we get re-airs and we get to see the same momentum. And I was actually at a store yesterday. I went to Gelson's, and our brand was on the shelf, and on the shelf was other household names, so like Dunkin', Starbucks, Peet's, and we were one of the kind of like smaller brands on the shelf, and a lot of that is possible because of the brand awareness and the marketing value that we got from going on Shark Tank. So that's something that I would definitely recommend for like as a really easy way to start to get your brand out to a national audience.
I love that. I love that. And I'm gonna come over to you, Jackie. So, congratulations on the recent award for the brand. You mentioned that there has never been a commercial alcohol representative of the Afro-Caribbean diaspora. How did you come across identifying that gap and kind of filling it?
So my heritage is Caribbean. So like a good Caribbean boy, I was making sorrel in my kitchen for almost 20 years. And in 2010, I had a cancer scare. My doctor found a tumor inside my spine, size of a golf ball. He said, "You're probably going to die. And if you live, you might be paralyzed." I figured that was a moment to get myself out of corporate America and into bars. Because I don't want to be in the office all day. I want to hang out with cool-ass people, middle of the day, middle of the week. I want to talk shit and eat and drink, and I wanted to monetize it. And when I couldn't think who was going to pay me to do that, I took my recipe I was making in my kitchen and decided I was going to make it into a commercial product. Now, this is the part where you say, if you think you have an idea that's so good, no one's ever thought of it before, it's probably a terrible idea. There's probably a reason why no one has done it before. I am not a food scientist. 623 failures in my kitchen to produce a shelf-stable version. It is the first time in the centuries-long history of this beverage that you have a version that you can leave out and it does not go bad. But for me, culturally speaking, you can trace the roots of this beverage back thousands of years in Africa. We discovered, Africans, the medicinal properties of hibiscus a long time ago. Antimicrobials, antifungals, antioxidants. It's a natural aphrodisiac. And this becomes part of our culture and our tradition. It's why there's almost an epigenetic memory of what we think of as the red drink. You fast forward to around 500 years ago now, and the transatlantic trade starts. And now bodies and spices are stolen from Africa, shipped across the ocean in the bottom of boats, and sold like chattel in ports of trade in the Caribbean. And when I tell you that they did everything they could to strip those humans of their identities, they kidnapped them, they beat them, they raped them, they changed their name, their religion, their language. But for some reason, this cultural identifier survives. So for all of the beverages that we make in respect to all of them, as a cultural identifier, Sorel has great cultural significance to us. It's been with us for a long time. And I say this with my whole chest, as the most awarded American-made liqueur of all time, every time we win, the whole culture win.
Man, that's beautiful. And I understand, I work in venture capital in the finance space now, but I actually was food engineering in college, so I understand that R&D process. Yeah, that R&D process of the tweaks and the sustainability and the FDA and
I poured thousands of gallons down the drain trying to get this right, for real.
I completely understand, man. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Jairus, this next one's gonna be for you. So I just want to kick it off. Just tell us a little bit more about the water bottle and the insulated water bottles.
Yeah, sure. So I say I stumbled across the insulated bottle industry kind of by accident. Insulated bottles have been around for years, but when I discovered the industry, I realized that the reason why I never heard of it is because they weren't marketing to the urban culture like at all. Everything was geared more toward the affluent white America, whether it was hiking, surfing, just stuff that I wasn't typically seen doing. I'll just put it that way. So I wanted to, be the first one to create that bottle that felt like us, that looked like us.
They don't think we drink water.
Yeah, and then so we're called SUPLMNT. So water is the body's most important supplement. So we wanted to not only create like the dopest bottle, but also have a mission to make sure we're educating the urban community on the importance of drinking water and staying hydrated. Because I feel like it was like an afterthought. And we're a pandemic business, so we came out during a time where people were just getting sick, all crazy, and it was affecting the black community the worst. They say it's like pre-existing conditions, but it's like you're really just doing the same stuff and eating the same stuff that your parents was doing. So if they wasn't drinking water, they was, using too much salt, whatever, you're probably doing the same thing. So I just wanted to, create something that was going to, give you something that's super sustainable, keep your stuff cool 24 hours, hot for 12, but also be that constant reminder to make sure that you are drinking water and not thirsty out here.
So is kind of that hydration, because it's a popular topic right now. The
right.
hydration and electrolytes. It's consumer trends are kind of leaning in that direction. A lot of products are popping up from that. Is that something that kind of you noticed and kind of keyed in on when you were kind of coming up with supplements?
Well, I feel like the insulated water bottle space was starting to grow, and this is before the Stanley craze when we started this. So. But like there were different airports and stuff like that was telling people you can't use plastic water bottles, stuff like that. So I wanted to, when I was creating the bottle, I wanted to create something that people within the culture could definitely like throw your electrolytes in. You could throw smoothies in there, and it'll stay cold, it'll stay fresh for hours upon hours. So I would say I wasn't really following the trends. I was just trying to create something authentic to culture.
I love that. Coco. So I want to say, first of all, if you haven't tried one of her brownies, try one of her brownies. They are phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
So talking to you and your journey, so I know you kind of started out and you did a little time in a storefront a little bit, and then you kind of went with the e-commerce route. Can you kind of talk through that, maybe give some advice to maybe some founders out here that are kind of weighing the pros and cons of a potential storefront?
Sure. So for me, my mom and I had a bakery in New Jersey for 3 years, and I absolutely loved the experience. Originally, it was my mom's passion, I thought, and I was just being obedient. However, I found a real love for creating and being around food all day. So that's where the name The Little Fat Girl came afterwards, fast forward 10 years. But for me, it's been a journey because I was working with my mom for 3 years. We burnt ourselves out. We had 2 locations. We scaled way too fast. And we had the bakery. So in a bakery, you're selling pieces of cake, let's just be honest. And rent ain't a piece of cake. So there was a lot that needed to be sold in order to maintain that. So after the 3 years, we burnt ourselves out, and my mom retired, and I kept baking. And then the pandemic hit, and so I had to completely revamp the business because we were actually before pandemic, we were doing a lot of wholesale where we had restaurants that we were catering to. And once everything shut down, the restaurant world shut down. So we had to pivot, and then we created a product that we can literally bake and still provide to all of our customers, direct to consumer, right to your doorstep, fresh and absolutely wonderful product. So I don't know, I'm not gonna say never, but I'm not looking back at all at a storefront. I enjoy the direct to consumer, I love the e-commerce world, and we still keep our restaurants, so everything is kind of just a lot easier now without the storefront and the overhead of all that comes with it. But it's not for everybody, the e-commerce world. I'm sure I love going to eat at a restaurant, so I hope people continue having and opening restaurants, but for me, I enjoy the avenue that we're in now.
Yeah, and that's a common answer. I feel like the pandemic kind of forced a lot of people to kind of shift and think about things a little different.
Absolutely.
So how was that, can you talk a little bit kind of about the transition to kind of maybe packaging and kind of going into that?
Absolutely. So I designed the packaging literally from start to finish. I found a company that we found that we wanted to sell pouches. So we started with a box. The box didn't keep the product as fresh as we liked. So we found Vistaprint actually makes stand-up pouches, and you're able to upload your artwork to whatever the packaging is, and they have a number of sizes. So we found the size that we wanted, and this is a 7x9. And so literally from there, I went to Canva, and I typed in size 7x9, and I just started creating. So I knew I wanted to have ingredients on there. I knew I wanted it to be personal as far as the culture is concerned. So you say sharing or not, like little slogans. that's one of the things that I love about being an entrepreneur and creating your own packaging, because there's no limits and no ceiling to that. You could be as cool as you want it to be or as plain as you want it to be. But yeah, so we designed a couple more after that. We have a few limited edition flavors, but same process. Canva, design it, upload to Vistaprint, super easy. It comes in like maybe 2-3 weeks, depending on the load that we're ordering. But I pride ourselves on our packaging. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I love that packaging. I
Thank
complimented
you so
on
much.
it earlier.
Thank you.
So Maggie, fair trade and ethical sourcing has kind of been, a key issue, I would say, in kind of the coffee and other beverage industries. What are kind of the core values of your company, and how have you been able to maintain that even while scaling to mass production?
Yeah, so coffee and other commodities like cocoa, I've always had an issue with making sure that the producers, the farmers, are fairly paid. I don't know if you know, but coffee is originally from Africa. And so one of the reasons that I started the brand was, even though we have this rich heritage of coffee from Africa, there wasn't an African coffee brand in the market. That's if essentially there was like no French wine or Italian pasta in the market. So we didn't have a brand that was really telling this authentic stories out of Africa. A lot of the sort of companies that were sourcing from Africa were telling our stories, but in sort of through a different lens, through like the white gaze, through interpretation of that sourcing, through different fair trade values. So when I sought out to build Kahawa, I had seen sort of in my own experience, because I actually grew up on a coffee farm, so on my grandfather's coffee farm. So what I had observed was that women do most of the labor on the farm, but they're not fairly compensated. And so when I thought about how could we make sure that the people that are doing the work are fairly compensated and can participate, I looked towards models of equity that were already working in that community. And one of those models was actually something called table banking. So and this is something that, I think in the earlier panel they talked about community building. It's about people coming together in the community and contributing. So what I saw was that the way that the women in that community banked themselves was because they actually don't have access to land or they don't have access to banking. The way that they funded themselves was they got into groups of 30 to 50, and they're able to pull their resources together into a basket, and then that basket actually goes around the table. That's what's called table banking, and that's one of the most common ways that the women support themselves in different communities. And so when I started the brand, I thought that the easiest way to be able to impact those communities was to have, to add to that pot that's already circulated, instead of inventing a new sort of foreign thing and bringing it to a community. Why can't we just add to what's already working? And so we introduced a QR code on the back of our bag, and when you buy our coffee on the back, you can scan the QR code and you can tip the farmers directly. And so that money goes to the women in that community, and they're able to use it, however they please, in different projects. And so that was sort of our own interpretation of a modern fair trade system, where we know that there's this gap between how producers are paid in developing countries that produce the commodities that we then enjoy in terms of coffee. So how can we get money from consumers, some of that money to trickle down to farmers, and how can we do that connection? And so we use the technologies that we have right now, being able to make direct payments internationally to be able to bring some of that money back. And it's been, it's one of the cool things that our consumers, our customers love, and it's a really scalable way to be able to have impact directly.
Yeah, I love that. Something I know I say, and kind of at Rooted Ventures, we talk about building kind of a new food economy. So having connections and making it cyclical, and having your own suppliers and getting to the farmers, and all multi-leveled. So I love that answer. That's beautiful. So Jackie, so earlier you said, a win for Sorel is a win for the culture. So how do you kind of maintain those strong cultural ties as the brand grows?
One of the lovely things about being Caribbean is you're never afforded the luxury of being your own worst critic. Everyone is critical. And this is, again, something that every family makes. And every family legit believes that they make the best version of this. So if I'm gonna put this out into the world, all of the awards don't mean a damn thing if my people don't taste this and feel like somebody's grandma made it. I did perfect the recipe in my kitchen. I did make the first 30,000 bottles myself personally, but to scale it, I hired a food scientist, master sommelier, PhD chemist, born blind. He's like Daredevil, but with booze. And when he came on board, I said, you have one task only. How do we go from 10,000 to 100,000 cases and have it still taste like somebody's grandma made it? I was asked earlier today if I go to West Indian Day Parade every year, and I do still. Every year, go to Eastern Parkway, West Indian Day Parade. It's 2 million people out. Every nation, every culture. There's food, there's dancing, there's costumes, there's music. And I go to a friend's house who lives 2 houses from the parade route. House full of Caribbean people. And I show up with my bottles, and I know for a fact that they're going to see whether or not this tastes like something that their grandma made. And I love being able to say that we have been able to, for the first time in the centuries-long history of this product, look at it on a molecular level and go, what the hell is going on here? So we now have a process that is infinitely scalable. We can make it anywhere on the planet. It tastes better. It costs less. It's got an ethical supply chain. It's got a smaller carbon footprint. But most importantly, when you first pull it up to your nose, you will feel like you are in grandma's kitchen. And that will always be the most important thing to me. Food science, yeah.
Can you talk about how did you find those connections? You know, the manufacturer, the scientists.
This is a great question. So when I launched my business in 2012, it was the year Trayvon Martin was murdered. And I feel like Trayvon is the Emmett Till of my generation. So I was a new business owner, and I was the only black person in the space, and I saw a lot of the people who I was working with get really racist. And it was a choice of keeping my mouth shut and just making money, or remembering who the fuck I am and making noise about it. So I've been writing and speaking about racism since 2012. I've written thousands, tens of thousands of words on it. I've spoken on it all over the country. I'm the black guy that organizations call when they're ready to talk about race. So Tales of the Cocktail, Bar Convent, James Beard, Vibe Council, Bar Restaurant. When they want to talk about race, they call me. But I believe in intersectionality. Yes, racism, but sexism and misogyny and homophobia and religious intolerance and disability. So I was doing a workshop for Brown-Forman in 2021, and I wanted to make sure that I was accurately representing the entire spectrum of disenfranchised people. And I was introduced to Dr. Wedler, who is born blind, and our first work together wasn't on my project. It was trying to teach people about the disadvantages. I say this all the time. People out here think they're failing. You're not failing, the system is working. It's different. And he and I first worked together talking about how we manage being marginalized in unequitable spaces. And we got to be such good friends. I said, hey, here's the funny thing. He's a PhD scientist. Nobody had given him a chance to use his degree in the field. He was doing literally blindfolded tastings for Coppola wines. The people were afraid of having a blind scientist in the lab. I was the first person to give him a chance to use his chemistry degree professionally. And I was one of the most wanted food scientists in the industry. But we first came together because I was speaking out about disenfranchisement and systemic inopportunity.
That's just the power of relationships, man. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Just creating that loop. Each one help one. I love it.
Each one teach one.
So Jairus, this is a good segue into your question, talking about kind of manufacturing environment. So hardware and manufacturing comes with its own set of issues, especially as you start to scale. How have you, one, prioritized kind of maintaining your quality, even as kind of other people kind of take over that manufacturing portion of it? And how did you go about finding that right partner for your brand?
Yeah, so when I first started the bottle industry, I had no clue like how to get something manufactured, how to design a bottle. So I went on LinkedIn actually, and I would suggest anybody, if you're getting into an industry that you never got in before, LinkedIn is where all the professionals, it's the professional Instagram pretty much. So I was able to find the old founder of Hydro Flask, Travis Roshpash, and I DM'd him pretty much like, yo, I'm trying to do something similar to you, but geared more toward culture. Took about 2 weeks and maybe like 2 more messages, but he finally responded to me. And then I got on a call with him, had to make sure it was him. And then, so he, he loved the idea. He loved what I was trying to do because his whole goal was just to make sure people were drinking water too. So he actually introduced me to several factories. So I kind of like skipped the line because it's actually quite difficult to get in contact with some of these factories. So my bottle's made in the same factory as Yeti, which is like a hard thing to accomplish. So he was able to get me in there. We wanted to, check all the boxes, make sure that the plastic is BPA free, make sure the bottles are lead free when the materials, when it comes down to the metals. And then, I was also able to find a black industrial designer that helped me. We sat down and it's kind of crazy when you meet industrial designers because it's like, you tell them like an idea and then they just formulate a product and just design all of this stuff like out of the blue. It's really crazy though. But
magic.
We probably had like, you do that? Dope. Get his number.
No, I don't do that. I was saying it's magic.
Yeah,
it's magic. I don't. No.
So like, yeah, man, we came up with so many designs and then we merged them all into one. But when it came down to sourcing in the factory, I would say I definitely, was able to build some strong connections through using LinkedIn. And the factory that I got was a factory that I could stay at because they already, service massive water bottle brands. So, and they have designers and stuff on staff there. So now I'm able to kind of like, we got a kids bottle coming out. It's just so much stuff I'm able to just like keep doing at the same place. So.
And I actually want to add to the manufacturing and vendors. So when we first started out in the industry, it was very difficult to get vendors that we wanted to work with because a lot of the vendors are sort of like by intro only. It's kind of like an insight. You have to know someone who knows someone who vets you. And so just having that network of people that you can ask for intros for, that can vouch for you, because usually vendors want to work with businesses that are going to be around for a long time. So having someone being able to vet for you in your network is really, really useful. And I think as a black woman, when I was starting out, it was hard to get people to take me seriously, to be able to onboard me into their vendors. So that's something that I would definitely recommend. Don't give up, keep widening your network, keep asking for intros. It's normal for vendors to essentially be a little bit hard to track down. You can't just Google them. Some of them are not even on Google. The best ones are not even on Google. They're not Googleable. They don't want you to find them. So that's why you have to actually ask your network.
That is so true. They definitely are hard to find. And kind of piggyback off that, Maggie, as a VC, kind of the number one question, I ask and I hear is, how is this company or idea, how is it going to 10x or 100x? How is it going to be, a fund returner? How were you able to kind of quell those, fears with your company and bridge that gap to scalability? Were there any types of kind of capital bridges that you use? Any interesting ways you kind of move things around?
Yeah, so we've actually don't have traditional venture capital funding quite yet. So we started out with friends and family, personal savings to get out into the world. So we were running actually, very, very small, a very, very small, tight ship, and we've always wanted to make sure the business was sustainable from the very beginning. So we thought about, what is a sustainable price point for our products? Can we meet that? So we didn't really chase the top line. We didn't chase like building revenue for the sake of revenue. We wanted to build something we call durable revenue, right? And so once we had that in place and we built our systems, our first big order actually came from Trader Joe's. So we got into Trader Joe's, and then it was like this big purchase order that we had never seen. But because I was able to sort of tap into my network of friends and family to be able to finance that purchase order. And because we had built a sustainable business, we were able to build off of that to get some cash flow, and then we eventually went on to get other national distributors. So we were able to build a business that was sustainable, that didn't need outside venture capital. And then we did Shark Tank last year, so that investment was another boost to be able for us to handle more business. And so for us, it's always been about building, and now we have a lot of people that are interested in investing in us because they see the business. We build a business that's attractive to investors, where investors are coming to us as opposed to us going to them, which is always a good thing, a good position to be in. So I think if you have the fundamentals of the business in place, then you can get to a place where you are an attractive business to investors just in general. And then you don't have to panic, just like you need to raise money to have payroll next week. So essentially just build with the right economics. I think sometimes there's, people chase vanity metrics, which are just really like, at the end of the day, it's like one headline makes you feel good. It's an ego boost, but then like, at the end of the day, it really damages your financials. And so, for example, we haven't yet opened coffee shops. That's something that we're working towards. We're working on hopefully getting some coffee shops up and running. But that's a dream I've had of owning a coffee shop for a long time, but I've had to work towards it. So I've built all the fundamentals towards it. And so now I feel like I'm in a position to be able to be successful in retail.
Yeah, I love that. I think someone on the last panel said something similar, where you just kind of want to get to a point where you can pick and choose your financial partners, and that's kind of where you want to be as a business, so that you just don't have to just accept because it's necessary. So that's beautiful. So Coco, so you talk a lot about relationships. So could you kind of go into kind of the impact that's had on you and your business?
Sure. So I actually started in the food and beverage industry as a server, and just because, again, I love to be around food. It wasn't at all because, I had a degree. My dad was pissed. I had a college degree, but I wanted to be around food all day long. So I started serving at a restaurant and then became a trainer and a manager and all this in various restaurants from Jersey to New York. And what I found is that something that has really helped, and I didn't know then, but now looking back, I'm so happy that I've built such good relationships with everyone that I've worked with along the way, because now I actually use a lot of those same people. The industry is very small, and you realize that, later on, but everybody knows everybody, and it's just a really small community. And I really appreciate the connections that I've made over the years, because they're so important now. Some of them are restaurants that I'm catering our brownie to now. Some of them are mentors. Some of them are clients. And so you just never know. when you're in the room with someone, when you're going to see them again or need them, or, you know, just always make that connection. And I'm very big on relationships.
So I did want to say, after this question, we're going to open it up for a few questions. And if you did have a question, just please walk on over to this area, and he can get you all situated for that. So this question's for Jairus and Jackie. So I wanted to talk about, because, you know, being in the beverage industry. So the beverage industry to me is one of the fastest growing and fastest changing, you know, industries around today. You know, especially you look at a company like Poppy, per se, that went from 5 mil to 500 million in revenue in 5 to 8 years. So people are consciously starting to think about, you know, what they drink and probiotics and better for you, and being more conscious of the beverage industry. What are some quirks, you know, in the water industry and the liquor industry that you think some other business owners out here may find helpful, you know, for their own journey?
Well, I primarily sell the vessel that you put your water into. So I would say for other entrepreneurs that are trying to get into, I guess, a space to, because like you said, people are, like, the beverage industry is massive. People have to drink liquid. So, you know, if you're trying to get into the industry, do your research and just get into it. But when it comes to, like, the quality of the water and stuff that you're drinking, it's whatever you're into. I mean, I personally like spring water. When it comes to, like, different taps, I don't know where you're from, but the water where I live at is disgusting. I mean, you can taste all types of crazy stuff in it. People tell you to drink alkaline water a lot, but it's so much science behind the way your body is, like, your body makeup is. So people try to tell you to drink only alkaline water, but sometimes you can, like, do too much and it can have a negative effect on your body. So I guess it's based on the person. But you're definitely way more you know, well versed in the beverage industry, so I'll let you take this one.
So alcohol is lucrative, but alcohol has a problem, and the problem is alcohol is poison. Like, I have no illusions about what I do. I walk into family reunions with my chest stuck out. I'm a legal drug dealer. You can't fuck with me. But because humans enjoy the effect of alcohol, for thousands of years, we've been trying to figure out, how can we enjoy this and not die? The ancient Egyptians made tinctures. They would put botanicals in alcohol. The Scandinavians were the first people to put it into casks so it would absorb the flavor of the wood. We've been trying to figure out how to make alcohol more potable for thousands of years. Big liquor solves this problem one way. They take alcohol and add flavor. So we have cinnamon flavored whiskey and blueberry flavored vodka and habanero flavored tequila. We reverse the logic. They're all taking alcohol and adding flavor. We take flavor and add alcohol. And because our process is fundamentally different, we have the most versatile spirit on the market. You can mix Sorel with anything: vodka, rum, mezcal, tequila, scotch, bourbon, rye, sake, cider, because we put flavor first. So again, that 7 cents worth of alcohol in every bottle I produce is what lets me make money. But the flavor is always going to be the most important thing. No matter what you do not pass on flavor. It's the one thing nobody can tell us about. We do flavor well.
Very well. So thank you for that. So at this point, I'm going to open it up to a couple questions. Do we?
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. My name is Mercedes Gosby. So Margaret, especially you talked about your first big order was from Trader Joe's, which was a big deal, and which is really exciting. But I think what a lot of people don't know is that you have to put up that money in order to to fulfill that order. So can anyone here just talk to how much we should, I guess, expect to budget for that, sort of like a Whole Foods or a Trader Joe's or whoever comes to us? How much does that really cost?
So if you get a big order, as was received, and you don't have the capital, find a factoring agent. You can sell your purchase order to a factoring agent for a small fee, which will allow you to get the raw materials you need to produce and then fulfill your order. Find someone reputable, be willing to take the little hit, but that'll help you avoid the financial crunch when that first big order comes in.
I'll also say, well, at least in the bottle space, it's like a percentage that I charge up front before anything happens anyway. So based on our margins, like when a person puts the PO in, that actually pays for everything. And then by the time it gets to the customer and they pay me the rest, that's all profit. So it's kind of like, it might be like 30% up front or something like that. So it's several different ways that you could, afford to do it based on like the timing too. So like, oh, we need it in 2 months. And that could probably give you enough time for them to pay you that, get it manufactured, done, and shipped out. So.
Yeah, just adding on that, I think those two that you mentioned, one of them is like actually if you can have your vendors give you some time to pay them. So if you're able to get paid before you have to pay your vendor, that's another way that you can finance it. You can do a factoring. You can also try and some banks that are, if it's a product that is able to be sold, for sure it's not super custom. So if it's super custom, it's harder to sell it to another buyer. But if it's essentially a product that has value, has inherent value, you can get some sort of like credit union or a bank to be, or someone to give you a loan that's backed by that commodity, because even if you don't sell it to the buyer or something happens, it has value in the marketplace that you can sell to someone else. So definitely, and you always you budget for double what you need. Things always like run out of control. You're gonna run into, your first production is probably gonna have issues. You're gonna have to throw it away. So you don't budget too close to the line. Always like get double the amount of money. If you need like $50,000, look for $100,000. And then if someone tells you it's gonna take 3 months, it's gonna take 6 months. So it's always double the time, double the budget.
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. So any other questions? Oh, we got one right here.
Okay, so being a black woman and doing this by yourself. Like there's no investor, there's no mom, there's school, we went to college. There is absolutely nothing. You're starting from the ground, learning profit and loss, business versus personal. You're learning everything. Where is the mentor that helped you do that? Who is the person? Where is the person? I've been in hospitality for a while, since 2013. My dad's military. My mom did some catering. I was in fashion for a long time. Wasn't really making any money. It's cute, wasn't making any money. Being in hospitality, being an up-and-coming chef, being an entrepreneur is one of the most hardest things. I quit every day. Every day I quit, every day. But something keeps, bringing me back in. So being a woman in the industry, in hospitality, and there's a lot of inferiority, it's a lot of you don't know, but I do know. It's a lot of that, being by yourself. And I stress that. Where's the mentor to help that person?
So I got a rule I sincerely believe in. And my rule is, house cats can't tell street cats what to do. right? Like, if you didn't make it yourself, if you never had to decide between paying yourself or paying your employees, if you never had to decide between food or health insurance, you can't tell me shit. Your mentors are your community. Nobody here is competition. What I see often is there's a lot of us that are trying to do this cowboy style on our own. We function best in community. No one, like, this country will tell you that you're failing. You're not failing. You are. Listen, my sweetheart is a brown, queer immigrant. The joke I tell is the only thing would make her life harder if she was trans. This is designed to keep you down. Talk to your people. Talk to people that are in slightly different areas. Everybody wants to see you succeed. We win together. We win together. So your mentors are the folks who are out there doing it just like you're doing it.
Yeah, I think just to echo that, and I think Issa Rae said this when she was asked about, when she was coming up the industry, who she looked up to. And our mentors aren't always people that are way ahead of us. Our mentors are people that are, we're paving the streets at the same time, we're in the same level. Sometimes people that are next to you are some of your best peers because they're going to know resources that are relevant to your stage of the business. Because if I right now I go to get mentorship from someone at Pepsi, the business is so different and so big that their mentorship would be great, but it won't be relevant to another business that's my size and has similar problems. And so just look to your sides, look to people in this room today. I think that's one of the beauty of events like this is that we're able to meet people that are in the same industry so we can exchange ideas, build our network so that we can just all grow up together so that we just kind of make it up the ladder at the same time.
I just want to say something really quickly. In addition to community and relationships and the connections, I have very, very, very much found YouTube University to be a huge tool for me. I literally found out how to package, how to shrink wrap, how to do everything I needed to do on YouTube. I would use that tool as much as possible. Obviously, you want to ask people live questions and get that one-on-one interaction, but when that's not available, use your resources, whatever is available to you, to get that information.
Yep, and networking across is just as important as networking up. I know, Jairus, you said it earlier, hop on LinkedIn. You find someone, shoot your shot, slide in the DMs, whatever you got to do, you may find a genuine connection. So with that said, that pretty much brings us to time. I want to give everyone just a few seconds here to give a closing thought. Let us know where we can find you and where you're at and what we can do.
I'll start Coco. If you want to find us today and taste the best brownie you ever had, we're in the booth in the front. And other than that, we ship nationally, thelittlefatgirl.com, and we ship 1 to 2 day priority mail, so no more 1-800-Flowers, send brownies, and at the Little Fat Girl, at the Little Fat Girl on IG and Twitter and TikTok as well.
So Kahawa 1893, you can find us on social, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And then we ship from our website, it's kahawa1893.com. We ship within like 1 day in the New York area, but we're also on Amazon and we're in different retail stores across the country. So on our website, we do have like a store locator where you can find something that's closest to you.
How you doing? Yeah, you can find us. We're actually here today. We got the Eat Over special, so we're doing a nice little discount on the bottles. Over there, you can find us online, on social media, SUPLMNT, SUPLMNT. If you're ever in Atlanta or a couple other states, we're in Athlete's Foot now, so which is super dope. That happened like 2 weeks ago, so cheers. But yeah, that's it.
Sorel is available in 40 states and 6 countries. The website is Sorel Official, SOREL Official. Instagram is the same, Sorel, Sorel official. And we'll have a demo later, so stop by and taste some for yourself.
Thank you. Thank you to this panel. Again, Taylor Bauldwin. Taylor Bauldwin, Rooted Ventures. I'll be here. We work with a lot of founders with capital readiness, project management. I currently run and help start an accelerator program for Black founders out of Indianapolis. We've invested over $800,000 into Black founders. So I'll be here. I also have a blog where I talk about food and the future of food, and I'm a self-proclaimed food futurist. I'm a big nerd for the industry. So please stop me. Let's connect. I'll be here. And thank you again to this panel. Thank you, Anthony, for having us. Thank you.